Hi, everybody. Okay, we are burning the midnight oil and then some. Let's see. Make sure that everything is working, that I can see everybody on this 2,150 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas, right there. This was a very hostile environment on Fort Bliss, okay? Because um, the cartel had infiltrated, and not just one cartel, but we have a conglomerate of cartels, and many of those are designated. They're so violent, they're so hostile that they have been designated as terroristic organizations. And not just terroristic organizations, but transnational terroristic organizations. And this is really important because Richard was whistleblowing of this infiltration that was connected to really trying to take over our country. And what do I mean by that? Because they were tampering with the election, the 2020 election. They are tied to the 2019 August 3rd, which it's it doesn't seem like a coincidence to me that it was August 3rd when Gabriella came out and said that down in Monterey screamed in horror that they were eating human flesh. And then now that was in 2009. And then here in 2019, on the same date, um, Richard was forcibly removed. Well, no, the Walmart mass shooting. Um, it would be something, right? It's Dallas Hart's birthday. That's what I was thinking about. It's Dallas Hart's birthday, Richard's platoon leader also. But it's also the day of the Walmart mass shooting. And, you know, uh, it was orchestrated and it was framed to be weaponized. And the crime scene was staged. And those are not our words, those are officials' words. And for example, Juan Torres, otherwise known as JT, JT was the lead Texas Ranger on the case. So absolutely was framed and then weaponized against President Trump to tamper with the 2020 election for Beto O'Rourke. Okay, they were pushing Beto O'Rourke, the very people that were orchestrating this were framing it to help to push Beto O'Rourke forward. He did get quite a bit of money afterwards, funding, because of his very outlandish and unconstitutional remarks on weapons. But it fizzled very, very quickly, and he ended up dropping out of the race. Um, so, you know, they didn't have, of course, Beto O'Rourke is not a dynamic candidate at all. So that's where they lost at the very, very beginning. Um, but they did try to push him, and it just tells you their bravado or their confidence, this globalist confidence, this El Paso cartel confidence level, where they can think that they can just take any candidate, such a loser like Beto O'Rourke, and push him hard enough, and he could win. And so they what does that indicate? That indicates that they have been tampering with a lot of elections. Okay, that's what that indicates. And we know that they've been tampering with a lot of elections. And this is what this was really, really about. Very political, and it's not an opinion. it is the stacks of evidence. The stacks of evidence declare that it was political, that this was, they didn't like Richard's politics, y'all. They didn't like his politics. They want to win at any cost. If it costs many children's lives, then oh well, they're going to do it. That's not Richard. Okay, that's not Richard. And they did not like that. He was reporting them. He was reporting them to multiple agencies, and uh, uh, we have confirmed that there were multiple files, ongoing files on Richard before Richard's life was taken. So he um, was forcibly removed from his barracks room there in 2020, summer of 2020, and taken down to the basement room, the arms room, to take his life because it's a soundproof room and it's also a restricted area. So that would be a place for the platoon leader, the first sergeant. And so that is evidence that those individuals were involved in taking Richard's life, um, somehow, some way, somehow, some way. And so, um, yeah, I know. And I wanted to say happy Father's Day before I began anything. But this has been like day in and day out the same story to reach as many people as possible, day in and day out, to get enough people to drive our system to do its job. And that's what it takes. And it is a beautiful system. It will be driven. And if the culture was better, it wouldn't be as hard, right? Because you'd have people that cared, um, more people that cared. Because there's a lot of people that care in this story. It's incredible. So that's why I need to take a pause and say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. And you know, for Rob, Richard's father, I say, wow, he's better. He's higher than Braveheart. He's higher than Robert the Bruce. Um, what he has accomplished in Richard's case is just absolutely breathtaking. And we're not even done yet. And we're not even done. So, because we have had to fight the media, the mainstream media, and everyone knows how hard that is, to undo the smear campaign that they uh, orchestrated on Richard. And so we broke through that. Um, and of course, all of the infiltration that's on our military base. Now, how did that infiltration get there? Well, you have to have proxies, right? Well, there's no bigger proxy right now than Maru Campos, the El Chapo Chihuahuan governor. I call her the El Chapo fentanyl governor. And of course, uh, she was let in, facilitated by Alejandra de la Vega Foster. And it didn't end there because Maru Campos is funded. Her campaigns, her mayor campaign, her governor campaign was funded by El Chapo, Sinaloa Cartel, uh, by his finance man, El Flaco. Okay, so I put that up there. The El Flaco financed Maru Campos's mayor and governor's um, and campaigns. That's really important for people to know, because then you know where her loyalties are, and it explains a lot. So yes, Alejandra de la Vega Foster then brought in the Sinaloa Cartel into Texas, not only into Texas, but to the highest levels of government to infiltrate. This is what this clearly shows, that Alejandra de la Vega Foster is the one that orchestrated and facilitated the infiltration of the Sinaloa Cartel into Texas. The answer is 100% yes. Um, did Alejandra de la Vega Foster um, bring in the CJNG cartel? Yes. Did she bring in the Tren de Aragua cartel? Yes. And though all three of those have been designated as the um, transnational. Oh, I always I don't want to forget that, because that's so important. The transnational um, terroristic organization. So this is what, and then the Sinaloa, of course, was in Austin. Of course, it was with the treasonous treaty and the follow up meetings in Austin. And then with the CJNG, it was in Alejandro de la Vega Foster's own home, a fundraiser for Governor Greg Abbott, in our own home. So and of course, Tren de Aragua, President Trump, and the documents have confirmed they come through El Paso. Nothing comes through El Paso into Texas, comes into El Paso into Texas, um, without screening, without screening. So we know that these three transnational terroristic organizations have been brought into Texas. Okay, they've absolutely infiltrated into Texas, and that could be in the DA's office. It could be, which means the prosecutor's office. It could be in the law offices. It could be in um, various uh, various agencies, organizations, church organizations, to our military, everything. So yeah, and we know that that has absolutely happened. And with the conglomerate being tied closer and closer together, uh, but I don't think that that's going to last long. Okay, I don't think that's going to last long. I think Mexico likes its space. So, I think, yeah, I'll keep you updated on what's going on with the whole building in El Paso. Um, so three major terroristic organizations were brought into Texas, and Maru Campos was the proxy for the Sinaloa Cartel. She is the stand-in for the Sinaloa Cartel, and we know that through El Flaco. Um, so that is really important, and I think that we're making huge strides here, um, uh, to get to in the very vicious negotiations for the repatriation of our son's remains. That's where we're at. So this is amazing, what is happening with uh, the transparency that's bringing out El Flaco being the funder for Maru Campos. Um, so the next question is, has there been major crimes committed by her uh, on America, right? Were her violations so bad that she committed crimes that ended up being in the United States? And we believe that she has, and that she needs to be extradited to or arrested as soon as she crosses that border, and that she needs to be tried in Texas, in the United States. I think that's really, really important because the false narratives coming out, um, you know, it just cannot be tolerated, all this deception from a governor of a state like Chihuahua, because now we have the cover up of the CIA agents' ambush, the cover up of over 400 bodies at Plenitude Crematorium. Then we have, of course, the cover up of our son who was murdered on a military base, but then a system in place through the flesh peddling funeral fraud um, uh, uh, terroristic organization that could traffic his body across the border into Juarez for disposal. So, and that's all been proven to be in place. And that was, uh, facilitated by Alejandra de la Vega Foster, because she's the one that went to Austin to set up the introduction between Maru Campos and Governor Greg Abbott. She's the one that hosted the party in her house with the CJNG for Governor Greg Abbott for a fundraiser um, with the transnational terroristic organization of CJNG with Governor Abbott to for fundraising to take money from a terroristic organization. Um, and then, of course, everything that's being revealed, uh, that Tren de Aragua is coming through the El Paso gateway in alliance with Sinaloa, the El Paso Cartel, and of course the Juarez Cartel and CJNG and the La Linea. That's really important that you see this as a conglomerate that they have made an uh, made out of alliances with terroristic organizations to infiltrate um, many many terroristic organizations into Texas, not just one, but many. And Maru Campos is the proxy for the Sinaloa Cartel. And that's why she needs to be arrested as soon as she comes over the border, because she's a proxy for a transnational terroristic organization. And El Flaco, who is confirmed to be the lieutenant for El Chapo's Sinaloa Cartel, um, has been confirmed to be the source of her campaign funding for mayor and governor. So this is really important news. And, it's just breaking news all the time. And the documents that we're working on behind the scenes that just corroborate all of what we're telling you. So thank you everyone for coming on so late on well, I hope everyone had a happy Father's Day. We had a really exciting one. And so it was just, when you can celebrate my dad, Opie, everyone knows him as Opie. RIP dad, we miss you so much. Um who was, willing to go into Juarez, I don't know how many times, willing to go to the border and everything to fight for Richard, and gave the most amazing insight to what was happening there. because, he spent most of his military career there. Um, that's why I was born on White Sands. And then when you have Richard's dad, uh, just an honor to be his wife, and what a great man. Great, Robert, our son, um, made a video meme. I posted it a couple of years ago. He did it, making his dad, William Wallace, right? William Wallace, a Braveheart, a Braveheart. I said, your dad's greater than Braveheart. In my book, he's greater than Braveheart. And, it's just really needs to be said because there's so many really amazing men out there. And for so long, they've gotten the bad rap. And then you have Richard's dad, um, just so amazing, fighting for justice for Richard behind the scenes, right? Behind the scenes. Um, and supporting this nightly uh, online podcast. I guess that's what you live stream, um, with all his heart. It's just amazing, for 2,150 days. So yeah, we do need to take time out and say Happy Father's Day, and we had a real good one. We made it very special. So thank you so much, everybody, and I will be back. Sorry. And I will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye bye.